It is often said one of the differences between throwing a ball and serving is that you're trying to hit up. A description of how you hit up is shoulder over shoulder, which means that you're trying to have one shoulder be higher in the beginning, and then as you serve, you're trying to have the other shoulder replace that and it's driving up. It's often described kind of as a cartwheel motion, or sometimes it's even described as you're just leaning back right here and then you lean forward and now you're in your new shoulder over shoulder position. I've always found that description to be difficult to understand or difficult for me to apply. To get a better understanding of what shoulder over shoulder means, you need to also include what your hips are going to be doing. If I only think about my shoulders as I'm doing shoulder over shoulder, I'm not really getting the rotation that I'm going to want to get me pointing to the target. If I'm setting up for my serve and I'm here and now I think of shoulder over shoulder and I don't do anything, I feel kind of stuck. Or let's say I give it a better version of that because I was trying to show what a really bad example was. A better version might be that I'm just moving forward and now I'm going shoulder over shoulder. But my hips are still back. My hips are still facing toward the side fence over here. Pros do not end with their hips to the side fence. We need to incorporate what our hips are doing to get an effective shoulder over shoulder. You need to be in your first loaded trophy position, and you need to think about rotating the hips into the target. So I want to feel like I'm not using the upper body yet, but as I get out of this trophy position, the hips are driving me or starting to move toward the net. At first, they're starting toward the side fence, but as the hips start to open, now they're going toward the side fence. I'm still feeling like I haven't done anything with the upper body, but now as I do the shoulder over shoulder motion, I do finish in the direction that I want. If my hips didn't move and all I did was move forward with my body, I don't finish in the direction that I want. I'm here and now I just stayed sideways. If I stay sideways, it's gonna feel like I have to do something with my arm that ends up hurting my serve. Maybe it hurts my shoulder, or maybe it just hurts the velocity and the spin that I'm able to get. So we wanna feel like a shoulder over shoulder motion is using the hips. And when we're using the hips, you don't wanna feel any tension in this lead side IT band over here. We're not just pushing the hips forward. Pushing the hips forward is not rotating the hips, and it's gonna start to tension your leg too much, and you're gonna have to start stretching it more, or maybe even develop an injury. And it's also not creating the rotation that we want. So you wanna feel that this lead hip is not pushing forward. You want to feel like you're getting out of it and the hips stay behind the knee, behind this lead knee, and not pushing past it. So if you're watching from this angle, you can see that I'm not just trying to push forward and leave the hips to the net or to the side fence. I'm trying to make sure that as I go after it, this hip and knee right here are ending up more in alignment. When they end up in alignment, I don't feel any tension on this lead side IT band, and it's also getting me to rotate my hips into my target. When I rotate my hips into my target, this allows the shoulder over shoulder motion that I want to be successful for the serve. So now I can feel like driving up is much easier because I can feel confident in what I'm doing to end to the direction of my target. Here, use the hips to start turning, and I don't feel tension in that lead side IT band as they start to move toward the target. And as this is happening, this is also creating a larger stretch in this shoulder and pec muscle right here. So I have primed it, opening up just a little bit right here in the trophy position. Now as this hip starts to move toward the target and this arm feels like it's staying where it is, I'm most likely already starting the racket drop back in this position. But as this drives forward, this is opening up the shoulder even more so that when I do the shoulder over shoulder motion, I can feel like I'm driving up and getting to the pronated position that I want past contact, and I'm also pointing to the target that I want to hit at. We're loading, driving the hips through it, keeping this hip and knee, or keeping the knee ahead of the hip or the hip behind the knee, and getting that shoulder over shoulder position. As the hip moves, it starts to open up the shoulder even more, and I can drive through the shot. Hopefully that was a good one. I'll put some examples of Pete Sampras, which is much better than I can do. If you have any questions, make sure to ask them in the comments. Or like, comment, and subscribe if you like what I have to say.